Alice in Chains is inarguably one of the best bands to come out of the 90s grunge era. They have a laundry list of huge hits and songs that people know, but there are some underrated and hidden gems in there. So Lauren from the Beard Owl podcast is going to stop by today and share 5 underrated Alice in Chains songs coming right up. Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast, Lauren from the Beard Owl podcast, and the two of us from the Infectious Groove music channel. Now, Lauren usually will show up on the channel talking about a lot of what most people would consider classic rock. And by classic rock, I mean the stuff from the 70s and the 80s, although I guess now classic rock is the 90s.
Yep.
Now, which means we're all old.
Yeah.
However, she recently dug into a little bit of Alice in Chains hidden gems or songs most people wouldn't know, and was a viewer suggestion for the channel for us to do. So we'll talk about that again in a little bit. But what songs were you listening to from Alice in Chains?
Okay, first, I have to shout out to my brother who put this list together for me because he is the Alice in Chains fan, and he goes, here, listen to these. So I spent several weeks like marinating in these songs. Mm-hmm. So these are my take as, you know, that. There we go. The first one is What the Hell Have I? Mm-hmm. It was from the soundtrack for The Last Action Hero, but that's not the version I'm listening to here. Right. This is the remix of it. Mm-hmm. And my initial note on it was it's a really cool guitar lick.
Well,
like,
it's a song Jerry Cantrell played on.
I understand that. I just thought it was cool.
But yes,
I don't know.
The dude really does know his way around writing things that people wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
Like other people just wouldn't think of. And yes, I agree. It's just a cool. When the version you're talking about comes from their box set Music Bank, and there's more than a few tracks on there that I think are better than where else you might have heard them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because this was remixed because Jerry Cantrell thought that the original mix was too tinny, which I get.
I'm not going to disagree with at all.
Right.
Yep.
So
what else do you got?
The next one is Rain When I Die from Dirt.
Mm-hmm. Most people, when they think Dirt, Them Bones, Wood, and Rooster. Right off the top. But there's a lot of other really deep stuff on Dirt. So what did you think?
I thought, okay, first of all, this felt like a really intense track about relationships. And I was like, okay, all right then. And gut reaction to it was I love the breakdown in the middle. Mm-hmm. I literally went, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's great when it comes at you and you're like, oh, I see what they were trying to do there.
Yeah, totally. I thought that was really neat.
So that's a really good hidden gem on that record because, I mean, and this is, we talk a lot on the channel. I'm never the guy that's like, oh, the hit sucks because everyone else loves it, you know? But like, Them Bones, Wood, and Rooster are monster songs.
They're great.
But then there's so much else on the record. What else do we got?
Black Gives Way to Blue.
Yeah, from the William Duvall, I guess not, I was going to say lead, but not lead era, fronted era. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like my brother put this on there to kind of throw me a bone because Elton John plays piano on the piano version of this, and I liked the story behind it because apparently Layne Stayley's first concert was Elton John, and the first album that Jerry Cantrell ever bought was Elton John's Greatest Hits, so they kind of had an Elton John thing, and then Jerry kind of mustered up his courage and asked Elton John, "Will you play piano on this?" And Elton was like, I'm in Vegas, come to Vegas.
Yeah.
He did it. And it's a very, I don't think anybody's ever said this sentence, but it's a very pretty Alice in Chains song. Mm-hmm. And it was my favorite of the ones my brother said.
I would argue, I understand what point you're making. I would argue that even the most sullen and downtrodden Alice in Chains song, there's still a certain amount of beauty to it, but I know the vibe on this song is, I feel like, completely different than anything you've heard from Alice in Chains. Yeah. What do we got? 3 down and 2 to go.
3 down, 2 to go. The next one is Fear the Voices, which was supposed to be on Dirt, but wasn't. I loved the opening of it, and I have actual handwritten notes, John. The reason, so my note was, I loved the opening to it because it felt light and heavy without at the same time, meaning like I guess the difference between light and dark and light and heavy. But anyway, yeah, it was like, oh, this sounds different than the Alice in Chains of that era that I tend to know.
Arguable. That's probably why it was left off of Dirt.
Yes, my note literally says
Dirt
that.
is heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy. Like lyrically, guitar-wise, I mean, that's a weighty record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's heavy.
So, rounding things out, what is your number 5?
All I Am.
From
Ranier Fog.
Ranier Fog, which at the time of the shooting of this video, I think is their latest effort. And so there again, you have William Duvall on lead vocals instead of Layne Stayley.
Yeah, and this was the closing track to Ranier Fog, and it's a really long song. This is like the epitome of like album closer. And, you know, from what I know of Alice in Chains, this felt... You know, you mentioned at the beginning that I'm kind of the classic rock person, and this felt more classic rock than Alice in Chains tends to do.
That's cool.
So yeah, I liked this. It was like, it felt introspective and retrospective, like you're looking back, and then looking at the cover of the album, I pictured them kind of looking back at Ranier while this song is happening.
Sure.
So I had this whole visual picture. So.
Right on. So we always say in these videos, hey, leave a comment and let us know, you know, what you want to think. And we try often to get around to doing videos from comments and whatnot. And this is absolutely the product of a comment that was left for us of, you know, hey, you got to try these 5 Alice in Chains songs and see what you think of them. So there's all sorts of open field for the comments here. What do you think about the picks? What do you think about Lauren's thoughts on the picks? What are some videos you want to see? What are some of your Alice in Chains songs that you want to see us cover? Or any song by any artist, if you'd like us to do this type of video on anything that you want us to take a listen to, cool by us. As we always say in these videos, thank you so much for watching.